Hey everybody, welcome back to Football Talk with Vinny. So in today's video, we're going to start the series where we're just going to go over team by team and just of what happened during the offseason and kind of the projections of what they could be going into the season. So I'm really just going to go based on draft order. So obviously with the Jags holding the #1 pick of the draft, right, they were the worst team in the league, so I'm just going to do them first. So with the Jags, for some of the offseason moves, they did franchise tag Cam Robinson, the left tackle. Obviously, you needed to do that. You knew you were going to draft Trevor Lawrence first, so you want to get some offensive linemen to protect him. So you definitely need to make sure you don't lose some of your own guys that are there to protect the quarterback. As for some free agency signings, they did get Shaquille Griffin, the cornerback from Seattle, Marvin Jones, obviously the wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, and then also Rashawn Jenkins, the safety. And then as for a key re-signing, they re-signed Trey Herndon, the cornerback. So again, I kind of like what they did during the offseason. Again, no big splashy players, but again, you know you're still in a rebuild. Drafting Trevor Lawrence doesn't change that, right? You're not going to probably be a playoff contender overnight. So you don't want to make crazy decisions. Now, in terms of signing Marvin Jones, he's an older wide receiver. I want to say he's 30 or 31. So chances are, realistically, by the time the Jags are ready to compete, he may not be good enough to even be on the roster in 2 or 3 years. But I certainly understand the move, right? If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you need to make sure you get some weapons for Trevor Lawrence to throw to, right? Again, even though you're a young team, you don't want all young players, especially maybe some at the wide receiver position, if you don't think that they can play, because again, you need to make sure Trevor Lawrence gets off on the right foot and is successful his first year, 2 or 3. This way he builds some confidence. This way he can become the leader you want him to be. Now, as for the draft, obviously with the first pick, they did take Trevor Lawrence. They followed that up with the second pick. They took Travis Etienne at 25. Then they decided to take Tyson Campbell, the cornerback, at 33 with the first pick in that second round. They were actually able to get Walker Little in the second round. So I know in my mock draft, I had the Bucs taking him at 32. Again, he's a guy who's missed 2 full seasons at the left tackle position because, again, he had the injury in 2019 and he opted out for 2020. So unfortunately, again, he hasn't played football in a long time, so hopefully that doesn't, significantly drop his play off. But if he can go back to what he was before he got hurt, that's really a steal of a player. And then to round it out, they got Andre Cisco, who is a safety, and that was at pick 65. So those are all the players they took in the first 3 rounds, which again is the first about 100 players that were drafted. I want to more focus on those. Chances are those are going to be the guys that even get a chance to be starters and, have a chance to really make an impact. Now, some guys in the later rounds could make an impact, but chances are, statistically, it's not likely. Just in case that does happen, I'm just going to quickly go through the rest of the draft. Pick 106, they took Jay Tufele. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's a defensive tackle. At pick 121, they took Jordan Smith, a D-end. Pick 145, they took a tight end, Luke Farrell. And at pick 209, they took Jalen Camp, a wide receiver. So again, maybe some of those guys come in and make contributions right away, but again, it's really tough, especially as a late round pick, to even make the roster. But again, if you just focus on those first 3 rounds, right, I really like what you did. Obviously, you knew you were going to take Trevor Lawrence, but in the second round, or with the second pick, to go get Travis Etienne, to me, that's probably the most questionable pick of the first 3 rounds, because again, you had a running back who had a very, very good rookie year as an undrafted free agent. I want to say from a fantasy perspective, he might have finished top 5 in fantasy for the running back, and if not, he was definitely in the top 10. So he had a very good year. So, I'm not sure, maybe their goal is to use both of them at the same time, or obviously, split carries, and then this way they can run the ball more. They don't have to worry about if there's an injury, they still have a good back, that's the backup, right? And maybe the whole goal for them is to put less pressure on Trevor Lawrence to have to throw it 30, 40 times, especially in his rookie year. So I guess you can't fault him too much for that. I just thought that there's other positions you could have gone, especially since, like I said, the undrafted rookie running back last year had a very good year. Now, to follow that up in the second round with taking a cornerback and then a left tackle, right? Again, for Cam Robinson, if you continue to play him at left tackle until maybe Walker Little is at full strength and is, ready to actually see some action, or, just the fact that, again, he hasn't played football in 2 years, maybe you start him at right tackle until he gets more comfortable. and starts to get more snaps and more reps, and then maybe slowly you shift him over to the left tackle. This way, if Cam Robinson does play good, maybe he's not someone you want to re-sign long-term if he's going to make a bunch of money. So maybe you kind of can groom that guy to be the new left tackle. And then again, to finish it out in the third round, you did take a safety. So again, anything to help the defense. You do got some young pieces on the defense, right? The linebacker Miles Jack is very good. Also, the pass rusher they drafted, I believe it was 2 years ago now, Josh Allen. He's been a bright spot for them. So again, you just have a very young team. So I really liked what they did in the draft. And again, because they're such a young team, I think obviously the goal for this season is just going to be to get better, to see improvements, and obviously to see some of these rookies come in and play well. With that being said, I think a lot of the teams that are going to be projected to not really be in the playoff race, what I'm going to do for these teams is instead of focusing in on the regular season, we're kind of just trying to focus in on next offseason, even though, again, the season hasn't been played. But again, when you're a young team, you're kind of trying to set yourself up to build for the future. So currently on overthecap.com, they have about $29 million. And if you saw my video where I talked about how the salary cap works, there is a rollover. So again, because the offseason's pretty much done, you don't expect most teams to sign anybody at this point. The Jags, again, are going to roll over about $29 million of salary cap space for next season. But if you look on overthecap.com and you look at their next year's projections, they are projected to have $39 million. That actually does not take into account any rollover. What it does take into account, though, is they're projecting the salary cap to jump up to $203 million. Again, this year, because of COVID, they dropped it to $175. So if the salary cap were to go up $25, $26, $27 million, right, that's good for the league in general. But also, again, as from the Jags perspective, if their cap space is supposed to be $39 million and you add the $29 that they have currently, that's going to be about $78 million. So they're going to have a lot of cap space. They're going to be able to sign some more free agents. And the good news about not only being a very young team, but having that rookie quarterback, they're all on their rookie deals. So again, you're not really having any free agents of your own that are going to be coming up that you're going to want to pay. So you can use that money to actually bring in some new talent. So again, if the team can play well this year, maybe they win 4, 5, maybe even 6 games, right? You could see some improvement. Well, then now you'll have, some more draft picks for next year to bring in. Also, you'll have some free agents you can bring in, and then you can really start to see them really compete for a playoff spot. Maybe not so much this year, but probably next year. So obviously for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this has been a crazy last 4, 5, 6 years, right? They went from, they thought they had built it, right? They were in the AFC Championship game, up 10 points on Tom Brady. And then after that game, after they blew that lead, it's almost like they went into like a full-blown rebuild mode, where it's like they traded Jalen Ramsey away, they had to get rid of a lot of players, and now they're like a complete rebuild team. And obviously last year, hopefully that was the worst of it, where they went full rebuild, won 1 game. And now, as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you hopefully will be able to start seeing the benefits of a full tank, clearing the salary cap in order to sign some better free agents that fit your roster and what you're trying to do. All in all, though, I think from a team perspective, though, what Jacksonville is doing and what they're trying to build there is very good. And if you're a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you should be excited. Because again, like I said, even if they don't compete this year, say they win 4 or 5 games, they're still showing a glimmer of hope that within a year or 2, maybe even 3 years, they should be able to start competing for not only the playoff spots, but maybe the division, and also at that point, maybe even, challenging to try to get to the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, right now, it's kind of hard to see that, but again, if you've watched the NFL as long as I have, things change quickly in the NFL, right? The Colts went from a 2-14 team the year Peyton did not play. They drafted Andrew Luck, and he actually got them into the playoffs the very next year. So sometimes things change that quickly. So that's going to do it for today's video. This is obviously going to be the very first one that I post, but maybe if you're watching this and all of them are already out, feel free to check out some of the other videos on the other teams. If the Jacksonville Jaguars are not your favorite team, I did do a video on your team. If it's not out yet and you're watching this as I release it, just wait a few. Maybe just click the notification button. This way it'll notify you when I do upload a video, and as soon as your team's video is out, you'll be able to watch that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to the next one. Bye.